welcome back to David's Closet. On this channel, we talk about handbags, accessories, small leather goods, all of those fun things from the male point of view and on a budget. Today's video is a lifestyle vlog. I'm going to do a cookie recipe, sort of. It's my version of a blondie. The recipe was inspired by Ree Drummond, the Pioneer Woman. I kind of took one of her recipes and tweaked it a little bit. And I was also challenged to make these for you guys by Autumn Beckman. I'll tag her below. Yota Style also made cookies. James Jam made some cookies. So I wanted to join, and when Autumn challenged me, I had to accept. So here we are. It is currently the day before Christmas. I'm making these. My house is a disaster. I am so tired, so bear with me, but let's get started. Before we do anything else, the oven's preheating to 350, and now let's get started. The first thing I'm gonna do is get my pan ready. So I went ahead and I've already cut a piece of parchment paper to fit perfectly in the bottom and overhang the sides. And the first thing I'm gonna do is take my cooking spray and spray the pan. And then I'm gonna go ahead and just plop this down inside. And then I have just these binder clips. There's no rubber, they're just metal. And I use binder clips to help me keep this all snug. Then you're gonna take your cooking spray again, and we're gonna go over and just make sure it's all sprayed well. And then everything is flush and good to go. Set that aside. Okay, the recipe also calls for 1.5 sticks of unsalted butter. I didn't have enough unsalted, so I'm using some salted. It doesn't really matter. I also want to apologize if you hear any weird noises. Diva is playing in a Santa Claus box or an Amazon box. So she's having a ball and she's not too far away. So you may hear some pouncing. That's just my baby. So to make it melt a little easier, I just chop it up into some medium-sized cubes. And I'm gonna pop this into the microwave for a few minutes, or seconds. Okay, then we're gonna do 2 large eggs beaten, lightly beaten. Then we have 1 1/2 cups of flour into a medium-sized bowl. Then we need 1 teaspoon of baking powder. And then 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And the oven is ready. I'm not messing up a 1/2 teaspoon measure, so we're just gonna eyeball that. And then it says to whisk together, but we are just going to stir it together because I don't want to mess up another whisk. So I'm just kind of going in a circular pattern, and it's incorporating hopefully all of those lovely things here. Okay, we're going to set this aside as well. Okay, so I'm doing 1.5 cup of, this is dark brown sugar. I can never find the dark brown, so I buy the light, and it's always been fine. My sugar jar, though, was almost empty, so luckily I had a spare ready to go. So I'm just gonna finish up here. This is a 4th cup measure, so I need to just do 2 more, and it's supposed to be packed, so. And you know what? These are not diet cookies, and that's okay. So now I'm gonna pour in my melted butter. It's hot because it just came out of the microwave. This is one of the reasons I am not adding in my eggs yet, because I wouldn't want those eggs to get scrambled. So by doing this, I'm allowing the butter to cool as it blends with the sugar. And it doesn't have to be perfectly mixed. You just want it to start to kind of break down that sugar and release some heat. And I just give it a couple really good whisks. So now we need to add a vanilla extract, and that's 1 tablespoon, which I do have here. I like a lot of vanilla, so I never skimp on vanilla because it's delicious. And then we also are gonna add our egg. And I'm not gonna whisk these. So I'm just going to use the spatula. And again, we're just gonna kind of start blending. You could use a mixer, you could use a hand mixer, you could use like a KitchenAid top mixer. I don't wanna mess mine up when I make these. This recipe is not difficult, so I really don't want to mess up and have to clean my KitchenAid. So I tend to do this by hand, but you're just gonna start whisking it or whipping it until it all looks combined. And that's what you got. So now it's time to start folding in the cheese. My flour mixture, you're just gonna fold it in. So I just kind of start with a little bit, not much, probably about 1/4 of what I have. And I'm just gonna start kind of trying to incorporate it into the wet. Yes, Diva, I hear you. Santa's coming tonight, baby. She's very excited about Santa Paws this year. He was very good to her last year. So of course, when you start this, you think this is never going to mix. So then I stop folding and I just start kind of pressing my spatula at the bottom of the bowl and just spinning. And then it does start to incorporate. And again, do probably another, that was a little bit more much, about another 1/4. I tend to do this in 4 stages. And again, we're just gonna start folding. Keep going until it's all incorporated. Now, if you wanted to make these into cookies, I'm sure you could. I just am lazy and I hate dropping cookies. So I do blondies because I can dump it into one pan and call it a day. And I'm lazy and I don't want to wait. So I'm just doing it the rest of it now. And then sometimes what I do is I put maybe like a tablespoon of water just to kind of thin it up a little bit. You don't want it to be runny by any means, but I also don't want to have to use all of my energy that I don't have right now to stir these together. I'm just trying to get a majority of the lumps and make sure there's no like flour pockets. So there we go. So here's where you can get really creative. I use milk chocolate chips. I don't like semi-sweet and I don't like dark chocolate, so I do have some milk chocolate chips. I love to throw in butterscotch chips sometimes and do like 1/2 and 1/2. And then I also have white chocolate chips. Today I think I'm just going to do the regular chocolate chips. And it's supposed to be a cup of them, of course. I tend to eyeball them, but for the sake of the recipe, let's go ahead and do what the recipe calls for, about a cup. And then again, we're just going to stir in. This is why I added just a tablespoon of water, or teaspoon of water, is because it's just way easier to mix if there's some liquid in there. Another trick is to use your whisk to scrape off your spatula. Set that aside for now. Go ahead and smack as much off as you can without making a huge mess. And then here is my trick. I take my cooking spray, spray a little bit on my spatula, and then, of course, it doesn't last forever, so you rub it all off here. Yeah. Same thing. And then we're gonna try to smooth this out. Now this is kind of difficult because your parchment paper by this time has gotten soft and it wants to do its own thing, so try to be careful It doesn't have to be perfectly in the edges. It will spread a little bit in the oven. It's not gonna spread a ton. So I do recommend working it as much as you can to avoid, you know, any weirdness, but don't stress about it. It will be fine. And then what I do is take a few white chocolate chips in this case, and we're just going to sprinkle them about and that's what it looks like. And now it's gonna go into 350-degree oven for about 20 to 25 minutes. And then while that's going, I'm gonna clean up. I realized I forgot to film an exit to the video, but thank you so much for watching. These are absolutely delicious. You'll see after this clip there's a picture of them pulled out of the pan, and you can kind of see how easy it is then to cut into perfect sizes. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel and come back this Saturday for a new video. Thank you so much.